We need to take a proper approach when we are working and helping people with this MJD. I could feel the bite there. We only the two of us are left in the families. Our brother's gone, our sisters, our mom and dad. We are the only two left. And now I've seen them just like that. It's happened so quickly. I know it's very hard.
So, Mikado-Joseph disease is a disease which is really quite terrible. People retain their cognitive function so they know exactly what's going on, and they're looking at a relatively lengthy timeline of progressive deterioration and knowing that unfortunately death awaits them at the end of the day.
We do a lot of work on family trees in the foundation. We trace the genetic problem back through generations, which helps us to then project forward and see what sort of numbers we've got. This family tree started probably, the original person on it's probably about 100 or 120 years ago, traces the family through 6 generations. And so we've gone from that one person at the turn of the century to 163 people now at risk of having MJD on Groote Eylandt. So it's a huge increase in numbers over that time. We've done similar family trees on 8 other communities, and it's a similar picture in all 8 communities. So right now, at this moment in time, there's 624 people across the top end who are at risk of getting MJD. There's long-standing relationships here, and so people have developed trust, which with visiting health services, visiting all sorts of services, it's hard to develop that long-term trust. It's what community members often say, is that there's just a constant parade of people they have to get to know, and they appreciate the foundation because they know that the foundation is here for the long haul. The staffing is quite stable, and they appreciate those relationships, and it means that we've developed trust. Basically, we have trust with the people, and if we say something, they know that they can trust us and believe us.
And what is often really hugely important in that interaction is the engagement with the person as a whole person, not just a constellation of symptoms in their area of speciality.
Before I came to MJD, I'd never worked with Indigenous populations before, so I think it's completely different to working in a rehab setting where I'd previously worked. Once you have that connection with people and you talk about their families, and you know, we do therapy not in a clinical situation but out on the beach or under a tree. It's a very different way of looking at therapy, but it's very client-centred.
Western psychology is very much focused on the individual and what's happening inside that person's thoughts and feelings, whereas Aboriginal culture is much more interpersonal. It's much more about, you know, a social identity rather than an individual identity. So that makes it very important in terms of social solutions for problems like well-being in relation to experiencing a major impact on people's lives like MJD is.
I suppose what's the most important thing for having successful outcomes with your clients is the way that you have your community engagement. And if you're willing to step out of your clinic and to go out into the community and to sit underneath a tree and you know, share a pot of tea and not have regimented time frames or goals perhaps in mind about wanting to achieve certain things with your therapy, but you're willing just to sit with them and to spend that time to make that connection, then your opportunity to do the beneficial health stuff comes after that. So today's Physio and Country Day. We're out at Thompson's Bay, and it's a good opportunity for the guys to get out on country and to have a bit of an excursion in their natural environment, which they really appreciate, and at the same time doing a bit of physiotherapy. So it's a lot of fun. We all get together as a group, and they do their speech therapy, and we also do work on their leg strength and balance, have a bit of fun along the way, a bit of a picnic, and it's a fun day to be had by all with therapeutic benefit as well. Yeah, they sound like a church choir, don't they? But no, it's a good way to do it, and they really enjoy it, and so do I.
So yeah, we do lots of work with trying to get your voice louder, and the other thing that we do is we talk about safe swallowing, don't we? You know, with the slow progression of MJD, people, you know, do become more dependent on others. So yes, you need a supportive system, and the foundation offers that to MJD clients. And the therapy that we do with the MJD clients is that we focus on trying to make their voice louder and stronger.
Great, Joyce, keep going. Two more.
By doing this, they can actually improve their articulation and their breathing, and so they can project their message a lot more. With the swallowing side of things, we give them safe swallowing strategies, which might be just taking a small sip instead of glugging down the whole glass.
When I drink it, I don't drink full milk. I drink a little bit of sip like this. And before I swallow, I breathe in. Then when I swallow, then I breathe out.
The problem is compounded by resources that are available in remote communities, which often much of the care needs fall back on families who have to provide care for someone who's in a wheelchair, needing turns possibly at night, needing care in the shower, care for toileting, which has cultural ramifications, and that burden of care often falls directly onto the family and is made worse by the geography of where people live, and difficulty with housing. Often people are in houses with multiple other family members.
The houses aren't built to an accessible standard from the get-go. So a house is built with steps and stairs, a house is built with no rails, sometimes the walls are built of tin in the old houses. It would be better if houses were built from the beginning so that they can accommodate a person that needs a wheelchair. We know MJD is not going away. We know people only get worse. There's no cure, and there's no really successful treatment. So people are only going to progress with their symptoms. So we should be building houses that can last for people well into the future.
Aboriginal health workers are a fantastic resource in Aboriginal health centres, and I would always recommend that there's a health worker present during a consultation because they act as a cultural bridge between the service and the client. And it is specifically the gender issue, that if you can get a male health worker when there's a male there, and preferably a male doctor or a male nurse, and vice versa for the females. One of the perhaps provisos on that is that to be aware that there are avoidance relationships within Aboriginal cultures, and so there are certain family members who it's not appropriate for that person to be in the room with the client.
Yeah, it's a really big problem, not only in our community, in other communities too. And yeah, with this problem, yeah, I think it's gonna, in the future, that there's gonna be more people, you know, with this disease.
I see it comparatively with other clients who aren't getting that kind of service and what doesn't happen. And the case management and support and expertise and proactive advocacy, I think, is a really important thing that MJD Foundation is doing, and I think is needed in a whole range, a constellation of Indigenous health issues. And I think there's a lot others can learn from MJD Foundation in terms of that.
I found it very disturbing initially, but there is a beauty amongst the people that suffer with this disease in that they are very courageous, and they often get an incredible amount of family support. And I guess that seeing people struggle and actually have a quality of life that comes out of this, despite their very profoundly disabling condition, and seeing how the Mercado-Joseph Disease Foundation has been able to augment their quality of life has been a really beautiful thing to see.
This is my country. This is my country.